DJ Smallwood here with Slingin Dirt Media. I'm in the shop with Rick Corbin. Rick, thanks for having me, man.
Thank you. I appreciate you coming over and taking the time to do this.
Man, I tell you what, I love getting some of the older stories. I know as a kid growing up, you're one of those guys that's always been there. It seems like it went from Pat Patrick to, the McWilliams, and next thing you know, now you've got Jerry Rice and Rick Corbin, Johnny Holt, and Steve Landrum. It's like you're just one of those guys that I've always seen at the racetrack.
Been doing it a long time. Started in 1985.
85.
That was our first late model. Actually, sportsman, transferred to a late model.
Okay, so you did the sportsman class too?
For one race.
For one race?
For one race.
Okay. Did you use the same car, or did you get a different
car? Took and they made spacers. Went from a small 5 to a big 5.
Yeah, the wide 5.
All the way done, changed the wheels, and started running it in the late models.
How was that?
A little different when you never drove.
Yeah.
New experience for us. We raced go-karts.
Okay.
For 4 years before I got the car.
Yeah.
So I kind of had an idea what was going on, but once you get in, totally different.
Yeah.
It wasn't even close.
It's a different animal.
Yeah, horsepower-wise, width-wise, sitting in a seat that you can't see over the hood.
Yeah.
Totally different.
And how old were you at 85?
I was 20 years old.
Okay. Still a young kid.
Still a young kid, just got married.
Nice.
So done all this at one time.
One time. This is what we do now.
This is what we're doing now as a family. We've done it since then. We're still doing it.
Still doing it, yeah. As a family.
As a family, yeah. As a family.
You've had a lot of different cars over the year. I remember you always used to have Masterbuilt.
Yes.
Did you run other stuff too?
Early in the years, we had what we could afford.
Yeah.
First car we bought was from Gary Krug. That
was
the car that I'd had that was sportsman. Then I bought a car from a guy that was completely turnkey, $6,500. That's what it cost us back then. And we was racing Ross Smith. That's who I bought it from.
Okay.
Which is one of the old school guys.
Yeah.
And then in 1991, we bought our first brand new car.
His name just came up in conversation earlier this morning. I was talking with somebody, and he said, well, you knew Ross passed away. I'm like, man, that name, no, I didn't know that. But he's like, yeah. I was like, it's just weird. His name just came up now twice in one day.
But yeah, that's our first. We went to him, bought a turnkey car. Race ready for $6,500.
A late model.
A late model. And be halfway competitive with what we had.
That is unreal.
And it was fun then.
Yeah.
And affordable.
Not like it is nowadays.
No, not even close. Not even close. And then, like I said, 91, we bought our first new Masterbuilt.
Okay.
And then I run them all the way till I quit running late models in 2000.
So you had Masterbuilts pretty much your entire career, just about.
What that I drove that I owned of my own, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Did you ever hop in just to try something else?
I drove Ravens. I drove for Calvin Kinda for a year.
Oh, yeah.
That was a Raven car. I drove for Strickers a couple times. That was a different, different style car. But mainly, we've been Masterbuilt.
Okay. I drove by, what are they, 2 hours away from here?
Yeah.
This past summer is the first time I ever seen their shop. I was on my way to Brownstown, coming from Kentucky, and I was like, hey, we're Masterbuilt. I was like, that's a nice looking shop.
Yes.
I got to imagine it hasn't always looked that nice.
When I first started going there, it was a small 3-bay garage, and then they added the big part on the end because, they got so big and so many cars they was putting out.
Yeah. I've seen the pictures. Have you seen the pictures of the performance bodies shop that the little garage they started to the warehouse that they have now?
Now they got it because, like I said, they made so many cars. Back in the day, they was big time.
Yeah.
And that's one reason I went with them. They was close.
They were close.
So if we had problems, we didn't have travel. Didn't have time to do all that.
So speaking of travel, you mostly raced at Florence. I knew you raced a few other places, regionally, I guess.
We stayed within 2 to 3 hour radius. That's what we could afford.
That's what makes sense.
That's what we could afford. Yeah. We couldn't afford to travel the road. I didn't have that kind of money to do that. So we stayed here, Brownstown, Bardstown, Cumberland,
Old Bardstown,
Eldora, Portsmouth. We'd go over to Atomic, now which back then was KC.
Yeah.
We traveled those areas. That's what we ran.
That's a good little regional schedule right there.
That's what we had to. That's what we, that's.
Which, I know you're close here and you race mostly at Florence. Which one of those is your favorite?
Bardstown.
Bardstown.
Bardstown's my favorite racetrack. I don't know if me and that track clicked.
Just clicked. You liked it.
We ran well there. We won a lot of races there.
Yeah.
Just every time we went there, we had a shot at winning, and just the people down there. I
Yeah.
love the people. David Farrell that run the track.
Yeah,
Super,
yeah.
super nice
Yeah.
guy. And he always treated us great when we was there.
Yep. Yeah, I've met Dave a few times, and he's always super nice to me, you know. And
Yep. There was always the guys that raced there. We always had, you know, good time with them.
right.
The racetrack was always fun. Anytime you went down there, you got home usually at a decent hour.
Decent time,
Because
yeah.
they had a curfew 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
So we'd back home, then most times by midnight, 1 o'clock.
Right, because the late models would have raced earlier,
Right.
so they're still racing fish up while you're.
We could load up and get out.
Yeah, you're
So-
probably halfway home or more by the time they finish.
Exactly right. So
Huh.
that was enjoyable. I don't know why, but it's just one of my, that's
Yeah.
just the place I enjoyed.
I knew other people really liked that place too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I knew Jesse Lay. He always ran good down there.
Yeah.
They used to, was that the Battle of the Bluegrass series. Seems like they was there a lot.
We ran there probably 3-4 times a year. They'd run
Yeah.
races. And that's kind of, if they paid more than $2,000, that's where we took off with
Sure.
it. Because it made it worth our while to go down there.
Right.
Then come here for $1,000, you know, so you
That
just
don't make sense.
load
does
up and go. Back then, gas was $1 a gallon.
right.
It went $4
So traveling wasn't so bad.
Exactly. And the nice thing with Markstown, as soon as you got off Bluegrass Parkway,
Right there.
racetrack's right there.
So it's all highway.
There was no,
Yeah.
exactly. You could jump on the interstate and make good time coming
Yeah.
home. There wasn't no traffic. You could cruise right back.
Yeah, I went there a few times. I remember one of the Dirt Track World Championships was there, and I was helping Gary Engel back in the day.
I think they had 4 down there. They ran 4 dirt tracks down there.
The one that I went to was the one that rained out, and they ran it on Sunday.
Yep.
And everybody was putting the bales of hay out.
Yep, we were there.
Yeah, that was the dirt track I was there for.
And that's when they used to get 150, 200 cars.
Yeah, gosh, it's unbelievable what the car counts used to be compared to what they are now.
Well, back to the $6,500 to $10,000 for a car
Right.
to now $100,000. That, you know, it's totally different era.
There's I'm no math genius, but there's a equation there that equals more cars.
When you're racing basically same money back
yeah.
from 85 to now,
Yes.
and the cars are 10 times more than
Yeah.
what they used to be.
Yeah. The
Where does it stop?
the price of the purses have definitely not went up as much as the price of parts.
Right.
Parts, tires, sheet metal, engines, chassis, all that stuff. It's unfortunately it's not helping things.
No, like I said, we got more money sitting in this car than I ever had in any late model I ever owned.
Really?
In a modified.
In a modified, yeah.
At this day and age.
Yeah. I've seen some of the newer mods. It's a complete car, no motor. What are they, 50, 60 grand?
Right.
Like, man, I never spent that much my entire career. If I did, there's no wrong.
No, I never had that kind of money in a race car.
Yeah.
Never. I couldn't afford to do that.
Yeah.
You know, that's why we stayed what we did. But yeah, I don't know how these guys afford it nowadays. The local guys, if you're not a traveling series that's got big money, I just don't know how they do it.
Yeah.
I truly don't.
And I think that's why we're seeing, I mean, the local classes are just, they're not there anymore.
Right.
It's, what are we averaging modifieds now? 12 to 15?
And it's going to get lower.
It's going to get lower. The more prices go up, these teams can't keep doing it.
No.
You know, that's why already we don't see any local late model racing.
No, and you're back to this deal, pays $1,000 to win.
Yeah.
You're still 70, 80 grand for a car.
Your prices are, you're basically in a late model with little tires.
Exactly.
It's a different car, but your pay is the same for a late model.
But the parts and the money's getting close to
Yeah.
what a late model is. You're almost better off anymore to build a late model and travel like
Regional
we did
stuff.
years ago, the regional
yeah.
stuff, because they're only getting 15 to 20 cars a night
but better payout.
and 10 grand to win.
Yeah.
So if I was young and getting back into it,
Yeah.
and that's probably what I would do.
So there's no chance of you going back to the late model.
Never know, but probably not.
You never know.
Never know.
But maybe.
Opportunity arises. Anything's possible.
We'll see. Which you enjoy more?
Oh, the late model definitely, because
Is it easier to drive?
yes, you got
Really?
more tires,
More tire. Okay.
better shocks.
Yeah.
The mod, you have no tires. You got
Right.
huge motors,
Right.
and the shocks they're a lot better than they used to be,
Right.
but you still got a little tire you're trying to hook that car up.
Yeah.
So that's the bad part. But
Yeah.
I'll take my chances. Everybody says put a little rotor in it. I'll stay. I'll stay with what I got and take my chances.
Yeah. It's I never had a big motor. I always had small, safe, conservative.
Right.
But these, back when I was still racing, Florence was black slick.
Right.
So it was. It
Didn't
was.
need a motor.
I didn't need a big motor. Right.
Didn't need a motor, and he's easy on equipment. You can run a motor all year.
Yes.
And usually not have problems because it was easy on equipment.
Yeah.
But nowadays, wide open on the cushion.
Yeah.
You need a motor.
Yeah. I was talking about that with someone the other day, and we said, guys, the driving style and the games, the changes, things that you could gamble with a little bit, it's like, man, all that stuff's out the window. You can't hardly lay back and save equipment and then come in late in the race. I mean, well, for one, there's not that many 100-lap races anymore. I mean, your big stuff, yeah, but you don't see that happening anymore. It's full throttle all the time, every lap.
Well, especially in our class. It's only 25 laps, 30 laps a month.
Right.
You don't get big break. You don't get 50-lap races.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Because you'd be there all night. But, so in 25 laps, you ain't got time to wait. You got to go.
Yeah, it's go. I mean, not only this, but even late models too.
Right.
I mean, those guys they're not holding anything back.
Do you see Hudson O'Neill them riding?
Yeah.
Them guys
they're
are
not
wide
holding
open.
back.
From the time the green drops, Bobby Pierce, they're on the wheel.
Yeah.
They're hammered down, rock and roll.
And it's not just those upper classes. Regional stuff.
Right.
Josh Rice. Do you see Josh Rice laying back a lap? No.
Sheet metal flying everywhere.
Sheet metal, sparks everywhere. Don't care.
From lap 1 to lap 0.
Send it.
Done.
It's full send all the time. I know something I definitely wanted to talk about. Tell me about the lunches. You guys used to have Golden Corral.
Used to be me, Johnny, and Stevie. Whoever finished the best that night, they had to buy lunch on Monday.
Okay. Whoever finished the best had to buy lunch on Monday.
Yeah. So the Eagle would show up sometimes if he, and then
well, that's a safe one for him.
He always got a free meal.
He always got a free meal.
But it was me, Stevie, and Johnny Holt.
Yeah.
And that's what we did.
That's how it started.
12 o'clock on Monday.
Monday.
He was at lunch at Golden Corral down on 17.
Yeah.
And that's whoever, like I said, whoever won. Then you just ribbed on everybody from there on. It got interesting, son, believe me.
Oh, I bet. But you guys were always pretty tight. You guys really never. Was there any? You guys never really had any bad run-ins with each other. You guys were good friends and
always
raced each other.
hung out, raced good. Yeah. Always hung out. When you're friends with people, you race hard with people. Some people put a helmet on, they totally change.
Yeah.
And but,
it's like, who is that guy?
Yeah, but then when they take the helmet off, totally different person.
Oh yeah, right back to.
Right back. But everybody's there to do a job.
Right.
You respect what you're doing, but you're still there to do what you got to do.
Sure. And you guys all owned your own stuff. It wasn't like you was, like you said, you occasionally drove for Calvin, but for the most part, you guys owned your own stuff.
We've owned everything.
So you guys had to pay for your repairs. So you guys ain't trying to go out.
And I had to work on it. Not only pay for it, we had to repair them ourselves.
Right.
So we don't have a crew.
Yeah.
I had my son. I had a couple guys that would help me back in the days.
Right.
And that was it. There wasn't no paid people. This was all voluntary.
No tire specialists, no engineering.
There was voluntary people, and we'd out here 2, 3, 4 nights a week, depending on how much you tore up. Sometimes every night a week.
Every night, yeah.
To get it back together to go again.
See, it's just my opinion, which doesn't mean anything, but those were the days when racing was good around here.
Racing was fun.
And
when you showed up at a racetrack, there was 15 to 18 guys on an average Saturday night could win a feature.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And nowadays, you don't have 15 to 18 cars show up.
Right.
But back then, you had 30 to 40 cars every night show up to make a race.
It's a lot. I think it's a lot easier to, when the field rolls out, okay, it's going to be this guy, or this guy.
Yeah, you got 2 or 3 guys.
You got 2 or 3 guys. One of these guys is going to win.
Got a shot at winning.
Yes.
I mean, honestly.
Yeah. Unless something breaks, one of these 3 are probably going to win.
Right. And usually all 3 of them ain't going to break.
They might break each other.
Seen that before. But honestly, yeah, it's totally different. And usually, if you could win at Florence, you could go anywhere and win. I don't know why, but Florence was always one of the toughest competitive racetracks. Them and Brownstown.
That's what everybody, when I first got in, that's what everybody was telling me. Everybody that I would go to or anybody that was helping me out, they'd say, man, if you can run good and do decent at Florence, you can go anywhere.
You're competitive anywhere you go.
Yeah.
And I believe that. I mean, for what we've done, we started traveling in 2002 and started not staying in Florence for 3 years. We traveled all the different places. And it made me a whole lot better driver and know my car more than anything, because when you went other places, you had to change stuff.
Sure.
Not what you're used to.
Yeah.
And it really made me totally different, learn about a race car.
Yeah.
That helped me tremendously.
I've had, again, several people have always said that too. To get better, you can go out and hit a few other places. And
me and Steve Casebolt was sitting there one night, and we're talking to Florence going on. He said, Florence will make a sissy out of you. He said, you go down here and you ride through the corner because it's so slick and so slow.
Yes.
And then they go to Lawrenceburg, they go to Eldora. He said, you got to get up on wheel. He said, it wore me out. He said, I didn't realize how much of a sissy Florence makes you with his black slick.
Yeah, back in the day.
Back in the day.
You know,
that's what it was. And that's what me and him talked about that and just laughed, you know. And he's true, you know. It was, but like you said, it was easy on equipment. It was affordable. And that's what made it nice.
I really kind of missed that.
And most people can't drive in black.
Right.
You have to be able to finesse a car in the black.
Where I went somewhere, I can't remember. I went somewhere and raced, and feature time, you know, intermission, we would walk up and look at the track, get an idea, what kind of changes do I need to make? You know, what am I looking at here? What's the track look like? And the guys I was racing with, they were like, oh man, black slick, what are we going to do? Like, they'd never seen that before. I'm like, oh, this is cool. I ain't got to change anything. I'm dialed right in. I got this.
Yeah, because it's funny. The guys that'll come out of town, they'll hot lap, the track's fast. Man, they're running around their balls to the wall. Then they go back out for the heat race. Yeah. And it's totally different.
It's a different.
And then here they go down the corner and they're stuck up in the wall.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, holy shit, you can't enter like that now.
Right.
It don't work that way.
There's a word there called finesse.
Yes.
And a lot of guys don't have that.
Like, it would change totally 100%.
Yeah.
Within hot laps to a heat race.
Who was it? Somebody, this was years ago, they told me, like when Florence was black ice, they said, drive like there's a gas or an egg under your gas pedal.
Yep.
You don't want to break the egg.
Nope.
He said, even when you let off, you don't just let off, roll out of it. Roll in, roll off.
Yeah, you don't want to set the car down so hard to upset the car. You just got to roll in and
scrambled eggs.
And when I started, most people, I would run the middle to the top.
Right.
My dad always told me go where they're not.
Yeah.
So I went to the bottom. Now I'm a bottom feeder, and that's where I go most of the time when we run there. And it worked for me. You know, we figured out a car to get it handling better. But he always told us, go where they're not.
Yeah.
Because you can't pass them if you're running behind them.
I feel like Stevie, he was always one of those bottom feeders.
Yep, Johnny Holt.
Johnny Holt.
He's another bottom feeder. You couldn't wedge him out of the bottom, no matter what you tried.
Really?
Yes.
He glued, huh?
He glued to the bottom. I found everywhere we went.
Yeah. Who was? There was another guy I raced. He did the modifieds later in his career, and he always did late models. Man, he would wear you out on that bottom. You think you're on the bottom? Oh no, he was right there. Barry Doss.
Yep.
Barry was tough. It's like, man, I can't believe I'm actually racing Barry Doss. Yep, there he goes. Yeah. I guess there really wasn't a whole lot of racing there.
Participating.
I participated. Funny thing about that is we went to the go-kart place over in Lawrenceburg. 10 or 15 years ago, you know. Somebody's birthday, and there's a bunch of racers going and stuff, and me and I know Matt Hamilton was there, Brad Greer went, and there was just a bunch of people there. And I think Brad had actually videotaped some of us racing out there. And so we all get out, and we're hanging out at the tables, whatever. Brad says, oh, DJ, come here, you got to see this Matt Hamilton driving right by you. I said, Brad, I see that every week. I don't need to see it again. I see that every week on the racetrack.
Thanks for the reminder.
Yeah, thanks for reminding me. Yep, it happens here too.
I understand.
Yeah.
Same guys seem to wear you out all the time.
All the time. Did you ever have any big rivals that, man, just you guys could just, does it seem like no matter what you did, you guys were always right beside each other or banging off each other or something?
Yeah, for one
whether
year,
it was intentional or not.
Usually 1 year, Matt Hamilton, for instance.
Oh, okay.
We wore each other out for a year.
On the modified side.
On the modified side, you know. So, you know, but that's part of racing, you know. Everybody's trying to do what they had to do to get on. But no, I never really kept a big grudge.
Yeah.
I never was that type of person.
Yeah.
Never could afford to keep a grudge.
That gets expensive.
It gets expensive. You know, you went out and done what you had to do, but for the most part, our local guys, everybody got along pretty well.
Yeah.
I mean, you really never, you know, you've seen some guys, but it seemed like it never lasted a long time.
Right.
So
how bad do you miss the late model side of it?
Oh, I'd love to be back in the late model, but I'd like to be 20 years younger.
And maybe 20 years ago.
Yes.
When things were affordable.
When things were affordable, but nowadays it's not even feasible for a small guy like us. Yeah. And the technology. we don't have the technology that these guys. Yeah. I thought when NASCAR them guys come in tonight that it would help our sport.
Right.
I think it more hurt our sport.
It's hurt, yeah.
Because the technology they brought with them put the small guy out.
Right.
When you come out and you're doing shocks $10,000 to $15,000.
It's crazy.
There's no chance that a small guy can afford to do that. Yeah. And the technology of how to use them.
Right.
Not only the expense of them, but you've got to be a rocket scientist to figure out what the adjustments to make.
Yeah.
You know, and even I talked to Bob Pierce. He said even they do it every day. They still mess up with them.
Right.
You know, because there's so much new. And he said they can go to Florida, run what they had in Florida, and come back and start here at the beginning of the year. In 2 months, everything's totally changed. Nothing was what it was then. And these cars are getting the same way.
They are.
Everything changes so fast. The technology to keep up with them.
Yeah.
It's just for a small guy that don't have that. It hurts.
Yeah. It's it's an evolving sport, and when you say evolving, I mean, like you said, I mean it's not year to year. It's month to month. It's evolving.
Exactly. I can do it like me. Last couple of years, I race 2-3 times a year.
Yeah.
And that's just to give me something to do when he don't want to race.
Right.
You know, it gives me somewhere to go, something to do, because that's all I've done all my life.
Right.
You know, since me and my dad back in '85, every weekend, every year, I'm in a racetrack doing something.
That's what you do.
That's all I know.
Right.
I don't know anything else. So when he don't want to race, I got one sitting there. I get out and play.
Well, I want to go play.
You know? I get out and I notice this stuff. For me, you're out one week, you're competitive, run a couple top 2 or 3,
right.
And the next week you're out, you're kind of in the back, and you're thinking, man, what the heck, what I do here? Cars the same, just they got better.
They got better, yeah.
So and I'm slowing down because it ain't there.
You're not getting younger.
No, unfortunately, no. I'm almost getting to 60. So no,
you're not Benjamin Button.
No, not at all. My time's here. Yeah. My time's up. It's time for him to. Andrew to move on with it, right. To move on with our deals. So.
Yeah. So, Rick Corbin outside the car, you don't know anything other than racing. You don't hunt, fish, nothing like that?
I fish.
You fish, okay.
Yeah, I don't do a lot of it, but I do fish. I take my grandson, Adam, me and him go fishing a lot. We camp a lot. We go camping.
Yeah, I've seen some pictures of camping.
Yep, we've been doing that the last 3 or 4 years. And
the nice thing about camping is you can turn the TV on and watch the races.
We don't turn the TV. We got a 10-foot jumbo blow-up screen that they put it on a projector.
Yeah,
and everybody in the campground can watch. So when you
that's
pull up,
my kind of camping.
Yeah, when you pull up and you're sitting back there and there's 30 people sitting around there watching the races.
Yeah,
and everybody walking by looking like, what the heck's going on? What is that?
What is that?
Then all of a sudden you got people around the camp you don't even know. Kind of checking out the races and see what's going on. So so it worked out.
You can't even get away from racing when you go camping.
No, that's at night. So there's sitting around a fire. So if you go sit around a fire, I'm gonna sit and watch races.
Yeah, that's a pretty great night right there.
Yeah,
sitting by a fire and watching the races.
Family again. All the families together. Andrew and his family, Amanda and her family.
Yeah,
everybody's sitting around watching races and enjoying their days.
Yep. My daughter just had her first. So now I'm a grandpa.
Yeah, I got 6.
Yeah, 6. Okay.
I'm a 6-timer.
You're a 6-timer, yeah. So, she's Asher William McCormick.
Awesome.
Congratulations. He's a week old now.
That's awesome. Yeah. And they're enjoyable when they're little.
Yeah.
You can ruin them and send them home.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
You don't keep them.
I'm catching on to this idea.
You ruin them, spoil them, give them whatever they want.
All right, here you go.
Last night Adam was here. Took him out. Me and him got dinner because they had somewhere to go. We then went up and got a pizza. Give him all the Mountain Dew he wanted.
Yeah.
Send him home. He was on his own from there.
Oh, that's terrible. All the Mountain Dew. When my girls were younger, I don't know what. I was just a crazy dad or what. It was milk, juice, or water. I didn't let them have soda till they were probably 10 years old. They're like, "What is this?" I'm like, "You don't need it. You don't need it. It's not for you."
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I never done that to them. Whatever they wanted.
Whatever they wanted.
They could have, because their mom took care of them most of the time. I was out in the shop working or somewhere. She was the one. Yeah. She was holding down the fort for me.
Here's the Mountain Dew. Oh, that's funny. That's funny. So 2024 is coming up.
Yep.
Any changes in your plans, or are you just gonna sit back and have fun and do the same thing?
Do the same thing. Go with Andrew. Let him do it. It's his turn. My time's I put my time in, like jail time. Yeah. I put my time in. It's all his. It's his turn. So whatever he wants to do, wherever he wants to go, I let him go with him.
Yeah.
I enjoy that more than me driving and me doing all that. My plan is, we talked about selling this car. I don't know what we're going to do. Depends if I sell it, fine. If I don't sell it, he's probably going to end up driving to somebody here in Air Florence.
It's going to be some double duty nights.
Right. Well, we'll never take 2 cars at once.
Okay.
There's only me and him.
Okay.
There's 2 people. We're not taking 2 cars.
We're not doing 2 cars.
We're not doing 2 cars. We'll do it the nights they don't run his class.
Yeah.
Then we'll take like the north-south.
Totally makes
different
sense.
places.
Yep.
Then we take the car out. We're going to concentrate on 1 car. I ain't there. We've had these cars, 2 cars for 6-7 years. And beforehand, he had a car and I had the car. So we've never taken 2 cars racetrack.
Really?
Never.
Really?
Never.
Huh. I don't know why. I guess I just never paid attention
With
to that.
With 2 people, we're not taking 2 cars.
Yeah.
There's just the work. And when we get home,
now you're double the work.
2 people to get ready 2 cars again.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
That's I've mentioned that with Jesse. Working with Jesse, they've got 2 cars. They don't race 2 cars every week. He does have some crew and he has some help. They don't race 2 cars every week, but the weeks that they do, it's double everything.
Right.
Double the wash, double the maintenance, double the repairs,
double the expense.
Double the expense.
And then, like his class, don't pay a whole lot.
No.
So his class is
double the expense.
Double the expense. You don't want nothing back a lot of times. He runs great, but even if you win, even if you
do you really win?
You pay for the night.
Yeah.
That's if you don't tear nothing up, that pays your expenses for the night. But if you run 2nd and 3rd on back, you didn't pay for the night.
Yeah.
You're pulling out of your pocket.
Right. I knew Jesse said something that made a lot of sense. I don't know, it was a year or 2 ago. There was a lot of teams that were downsizing their haulers. When prices of fuel and everything was getting through the roof, everybody's getting smaller stuff. Jesse bought a bigger truck. I'm like, dude, I said that don't make any sense. He said it's not about the miles per gallon; it's about the smiles per gallon. Okay. Hey, whatever makes you happy.
Well, we couldn't get no smaller.
Yes.
We went. I had an F-150, 4-door truck with an open trailer with no tire rack or box.
Yeah.
So we couldn't put the 4-wheeler on the front if we had a box or tire rack.
Right.
So we put everything in the back of the truck and load the car.
Yeah.
Well, when we get home at night, we had to unload everything and the truck in case it rained or somebody stealing everything out of the back of the truck anymore. So that was a lot of work for us. He bought an enclosed trailer over the summer.
Really?
So we finally went back to an enclosed trailer after 10 years.
10 years.
10, 12 years of an open trailer. So we did upgrade ourselves.
Did you have to get a bigger truck too?
Yeah, I had to buy. That was the deal. I bought the truck. He bought the trailer. I got the wrong end of the deal.
Oh, really?
Because the truck was a whole lot more expensive than the trailer.
Yeah, there's that.
But I was ready for a truck. I needed an update. Mine was 20 years old. It was time time for a new one. So I bit the bullet and had to buy one. And man, it broke my heart to have to spend
that money.
To spend what these trucks cost. There's no reason these things should be that expensive.
It's crazy.
It is.
What do you think prices offset more, trucks or race cars?
Race car.
It's still race car.
I use that truck every day. That race car I can.
Yeah.
And hopefully I don't wreck the truck every time we go out, replacing suspension and door sides and stuff. So
I remember when I first started racing, and it was work on it every week and maintenance it and go out and I could, do what I did at the racetrack. Well, my dad was all into hot rods. He liked the street rods and the old cars and stuff. And man, those are cool. Yeah, I like them. But again, some of these guys are got big motors in these things, and they do. Know. But I looked at it and Dad said, "Why would you rather do that than this? This doesn't get tore up every week." And I'm like, and that ain't no fun. I mean, not that I'm trying to tear my stuff up every week, but it's like, okay, a guy goes out and puts a big motor in these things and whatever. You can't legally go out and use that motor. No. You're just wasting money. No. I can legally go out and use the dog crap out of that thing if I want to.
And enjoy it. And have fun.
And
people don't realize that. I see these people spend thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars on these show cars.
Yeah.
They take them to these shows. They show them for a year or two.
Yeah.
Then what do you do with them?
What do you do with them?
Wipe
them down?
Put them in the garage because most shows you can only show them a couple of years and then they don't allow them back.
Yeah.
So what do you do with all this money that you spend? I mean, you got a great collection. You got money sitting back to work. We took money and we throw these. Pretty much you throwing it out the window.
Yeah.
But I'm having a lot more fun out of that car than, that's just what I chose to do.
Sure.
That's what we done. My dad, he died in '96, and we started racing, like I said, in '85, and he was on me forever, about the way a car looked. I was always, it looked nice, and he said, we're not racing with lipstick and makeup. We're racing to win. I don't care if the car's beat up. I was never like that. So me and him always had that controversy. I wanted new sheet metal and decals to make it look nice. He wanted hammers to beat it out, and we want to win. That's all I cared about. And that's just, it is what it is. When I show up to the racetrack, I want my car to at least look representative.
Yes, yeah.
Even for the sponsors, we don't have a lot, but even for the ones you do,
you want to look good.
You want to look good, and they look better in Victory Lane.
Yeah.
And I bought a toter home, and with the trailer and stuff. And somebody come over to me once and said, I ain't never seen a truck or trailer win a race yet. I said, yeah, you got a point.
You got a point.
You spend all this money. You're right. I haven't seen.
But look what travels up and down the road nowadays.
Well, we was traveling, and that was what was nice. We had the toter home to stay in.
Right.
The kids were young then. We had a dog, and
absolutely.
So it made it feasible for us to travel rather than go to hotels.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do all that. Stay at the racetrack.
I always wanted a small RV, and I always wanted to go to East Bay for the week. I could sleep in the RV, didn't have the hotel expenses. I could race every night. The wife could go to the beach and go shopping, and I could race every night.
Well, I got a 24-foot RV. Perfect. I still go and drive my car down to the hotel. For what the gas cost me for the RV, the expense, the bathrooms, emptying all the tanks.
Yep.
It's easier just to get a hotel. It's easier.
Better beds, better showers.
You got it. You don't run out of water. You don't have to worry about the generator going down with no electric.
Yeah.
Believe me, it's easier.
There was another guy I know, and me and him had the conversation. And he said he was the exact same way you were. His dad was all about, man, this thing's got to be fast, and this is, we need this and we need that. And he's like, yeah, that's great and all. He said, but I want it to look cool. He said he was always worried about this thing's got to look badass. He said, I want this car to look cool, and Dad was always about this. And it was John Whitney.
Yep.
He said, you know what? His stuff did always kind of look cool. One way, shape, or another, that thing always kind of looked good.
Well, when you work on it and you spend the money, you take pride in it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I've always have. That's why I worked a lot in our garage to keep our cars always looking nice, to look new.
Yeah.
So when I sold them, they brought good value because they were treated well. But I took pride in what I had because that's what I worked to pay for it.
Yeah.
Nobody bought it for me. I paid for it, and I worked hard to get what I had, so I always took care of my stuff.
You said resell. I was talking to a driver a month or two ago, and he said he had this one guy who was always really good, big financial guy, would help him out, buy him anything he wanted, except for tires. You need motor? Let's get two. You need whatever you need. He was like, plenty of it. He said, tires? Nope. Get somebody else to buy your tires. He's like, I never could figure it out. He says, well, how come you won't buy me tires? He said, well, that car, he said, that motor, all that stuff, when we're done with it, we can resell it, get something out of it. He said, tires, you use them tires? We ain't getting nothing out of the tires.
Yeah, you are. You're getting a win.
Yeah.
You got a chance to win with the tires because the tires are where you're.
Yeah.
That's, people don't realize tires is, that's a lot of your lookup on your car.
Yeah, yeah. It's a big part of it.
It's a big part. We usually run them twice and put new ones on.
Yeah.
His class, you can get by with it.
Yeah.
This car here, with the other motors, you can't. One or two nights, you're done with the right rear.
I used to buy. Gosh, it was halfway through the season before I bought my first new tire. I'd get tires from Billy Vaughn or Kevin Hartman. I mean, because those guys are using them once or twice.
Right.
And they're.
If you didn't, you can't compete. If you put new tires on, you can run top 2 or 3.
Yeah.
If you wait another week, you're running 4th, 5th, 6th.
Yeah.
If you wait another week, you're back 10th.
Kevin Hartman told me he said every feature that car rolled on the racetrack, it had 4 brand new tires on it. Well, I started doing the math here, and I'm thinking ticket price to get in, gas to get there, 4 new tires. I'm like, Kevin, I said, you're spending more every week. I said, even if you won every week, you're not going to. He's like, that's what you got to have to win. I'm like, maybe I should rethink this.
And we fall back to the money, no object.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes.
Yeah.
We never had that. Usually on the late model, we tried to put 2 new tires on the rears.
Right.
Every week or every other week.
Yeah.
That was our goal, to keep 2. On the mod, we tried to buy 1 tire a week.
Right.
1 tire a night when we run. That's what we average to keep up with the tires. Front tires you don't wear out as much. You can get by with them, but the rears we try to at least buy 1 tire a night.
Right.
So to keep the expense halfway. And it used to be a mod tire was 90, now 180.
Jeez.
So so you've doubled the price.
Yeah.
In a tire.
Yeah.
So now you got to get a little more out of it.
Well, we don't have to worry about me getting back into racing anytime soon.
Yeah, because my dad always said, but he couldn't wait until I had my kid old enough to race.
Yeah.
Well, my dad died in '96, so he didn't get to see Andrew come up and race.
Yeah.
So to this day, I would do anything for him to be here to see him run.
Yeah.
That would be
awesome.
The coolest thing I could ever have in my life.
Yeah.
But it didn't work out that way because he always said, I can't wait.
Yeah.
You're going to find out what it's like to have to help your kid, fund your kid,
Yeah.
to kind of do it. But he funds himself now.
That's
pretty
good.
much everything. He's on his own. He does his own thing, and he does great with it. So.
That's awesome. And you guys are having fun with it.
Oh, yeah.
Number one priority is having fun.
Oh, I can rib him. I can make him mad and walk in the house. And he's pissed off.
Kind of like a grandkid.
And he's pissed off. He goes home, and my wife says, "You're horrible. I can't believe you do that to him."
Yeah,
but I want to get the fire under his ass to get him to go.
Yeah.
You know?
Sometimes
because before he never had the fire. He always had settled.
Yeah.
We ran second, I know, 25 times.
Yeah.
Every time we was out, whether we ran rods or sport mods, second.
Second.
And I just wanted to get that fire under his ass to do it, and he finally got his first win this year.
Nice.
And it finally set the fire under his ass. Second ain't happy no more.
Yeah,
If we run
we're
second,
going to win.
Yeah, if we run second, he comes in, he's pissed off.
Yeah, hey.
I feel like I've done my job.
You did your job. Bam!
He's have at it, young man. Now we can go racing.
Now we can get serious.
Right. Now we can go racing.
Oh, that's awesome.
But then we've done it. My daughter, she's got Pete. You know, they race. They'll race 2 nights a week. They'd race 5 nights a week.
Yeah.
They would race 7 nights a week
if they can
find somewhere to race.
Sure.
She is more dedicated to racing than anybody in my family.
Really?
Besides me. That kid, if we don't race, she's mad at us.
She's mad.
When they was at home, it was raining one night. We didn't travel, and she was all pissed off because we wasn't going racing. So she actually harassed me and him for an hour.
Really?
So we come out here in the shop, and I had some old decals.
Yeah.
We got all the old decals up, went out and decaled her car sitting in the driveway. We put the stripes down, put the numbers on the side of it. She walked out, and she said, "Well, I'll go racing before you will." And she got in the car and left. She was pissed. But she's dedicated to racing as much as anybody that I know.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Some people just, man, they get it. You know, you were talking about, like, what you like. You know, the old cars versus the race cars. This is what you like. You know, I remember going, like, the county fair and seeing the tractor pulls and it's like seeing the money and the engines, these things. And I'm like, man, you know what kind of race car these guys have? If they weren't buying these stupid tractors, you know what kind of race car they can have?
Yeah, I get it.
They're probably looking at us thinking the same thing. Man, you see that race car? You know what kind of tractor they can have?
Well, when we raced back before we started cars, we done the go-kart deal.
Yeah.
Well, we bought a single-engine, 2-stroke motor. It was almost $2,000 for a go-kart.
Right.
Back in the 80s.
Back in the 80s.
81, 82 era.
Jeez, that's a lot of money for a go-kart.
That was a lot of money for a go-kart motor.
Yeah.
Well, and then after a while, we had to rebuild them because my dad was mixing fuels. And every 2-3 weeks, we'd have to put new pistons in them. We had to wring them out. And it got very expensive there again. And that's what he said one time we was talking. He said, "I think we need to buy a car. We can buy a car and race cheaper than these go-karts." Because go-karts, you didn't get nothing back but trophies.
That's it.
You didn't get shit back.
No.
So one Saturday night, we went and raced it somewhere, and we got home about midnight, dropped everything off down to the body shop, got everything put away.
Yeah.
And I said, "I'll be back." It was Friday night. "I'll be back in the morning. We'll get everything cleaned up. We're going somewhere Saturday."
Yeah.
So I called him next morning and said, "Hey, you up?" He's like, "Yeah." I said, "I'll be down in a few minutes. We'll get the stuff ready." He says, "I sold them." I said, "You done
Sold
what?"
them?
He said, "I sold both cars. Everything's gone." I said, "How the hell did you sell them? It's 1 o'clock in the morning before we got home." He said, "I'm just telling you, there's nothing here anymore." He said, "Everything's gone."
Really?
So I went down the shop, looked around, and
it's gone.
It was all gone. They had a stack of money sitting on the table.
Now go buy a car.
That's what he said. He said, "Find us a race car."
Find us a race car.
And that's when we started doing a race car back then, because he said them go-karts was so expensive.
Yeah.
And the carts we had, we won everywhere we went with. We had 2 carts. We won both classes about every night. So, and the people that lived in our area followed him home, and come down and talk to him, and actually paid him that night. They wanted them carts from what they was at the racetrack when we left. They didn't want us changing nothing.
Not a thing.
Didn't want us doing anything different.
Yeah.
And they come and actually paid him for them carts, all the parts, and left with everything.
You had no idea.
I had no idea. So when I come back Saturday, I thought he was kidding with me.
Yeah,
I thought, well, maybe he's tired and just don't want to go this night, And I got there was absolutely nothing.
Gone.
There was some dirt laying on the ground from the tire. And that was it. There was nothing left.
Dang.
And that's
how did that feel?
It felt empty for a while. It's like, man, maybe he's quitting. Maybe. But then when he showed me the cash, he says, "Go find us a car."
Yeah.
I was excited.
Okay, let's do
now let's go do something that's pretty cool.
That took the sting away.
Yes, it did. So that's when we started. It was weird, but I mean, I mean, at 1 o'clock in the morning, who's going to show up at your house to buy it? But that's
apparently it happens.
That's what they wanted. And they wanted it, and they got it.
They got it.
He left everything out.
Imagine that. Not even had to advertise or go through all that. Just said,
no.
Cool. Here you go.
Here you go.
You got to wash, clean, nothing. There it is. Man, that's almost a best case scenario.
But I've had cars I'd like to bought from a guy and done the same thing. When he won a feature,
that's how you
and paid it. And loaded up my trailer instead of his trailer.
Yeah.
That way he didn't get a chance to change
anything.
I wanted to buy some of the technology that he had.
Yeah.
It ain't that's where you're at, the technology.
Yeah.
So, but my dad was really good on the motors.
Right.
He'd sit on the kitchen table and take them things apart.
Kitchen table.
And that's what, just like me and you sitting down there, he'd tear down the motors, do what did all the work on them, put them back together, and he was really, really good at them two-stroke motors.
My dad did that with a Harley when I was a kid. He just in the house right there, just tore down the rebuild.
Well, that's what we did. I mean, he'd sit there at the kitchen table, and my mom would be in the other room watching TV.
Yeah, he's sitting
and that's where he would sit at nights, and he would do the work and flow them motors and do tinker with them and try to get as much horsepower out of that thing as he could.
Do you know? Did you guys ever experiment and try aviation fuel?
Oh yeah, we tried that. We had nitrous fuel. Yeah. We had a little bit of everything in that thing. When then he would mix them too much and melt the piston inside. Yeah. We'd get a hole in the top of the piston. We'd pull it apart, and he knew what he'd done. But, you push it to the limit to get what you got.
I may have dabbled with a little bit of that when I was younger.
and they had you could reach over and adjust the carburetor on the side. And I kind of just lean them out a little bit too much every now and then. When you need a little more, and then you can go, Poof.
Yeah.
When it done that suck shop, you was done.
I remember one time, and Dad's like, that was my fault. I was a kid. I didn't know. I would just get on the thing and hit the gas, and we went to this we didn't like travel and do a lot of competitive stuff, but it was like more a lot of backyard stuff. People we knew had backyard tracks and stuff like that. And we actually went to a bigger track, and it was pavement. No, big mistake. We didn't change any gears. We didn't do anything, and I didn't know no better. I'm just going. Made it about 2 laps, and rods go out the side. It's like, well, maybe we should have done something. I was like, what happened? So Dad said, well, I probably should have changed the gear. And says, you just don't know that motor was too much.
Unexperienced. That's the way we was. We'd go different places.
Yeah.
We traveled a lot with the carts once we got where we was running good.
Right.
We went to indoor races over the winter, and one over the head of Marion County Fairgrounds up there. They put Coke syrup on the floor.
Okay.
And you run around there, and you go in there, and there'd be 150, 200 go-karts running the deal.
It's crazy. So
it was really neat experience. You've seen a lot of people carried out on stretchers because they'd get out of the Coke syrup, and that cart would take off, man. They had 2x10s in the openings.
Okay.
And you'd see them guys hit it, and they'd go out, and he'd hit the cart would hit him, they'd slide down. They go over and get him up, up.
Carry him out.
Get the next race up.
Next.
We went there and won the race, and my mom, we got in the motorhome, we was coming home, and she looked at my dad and said, "It's one place we're not going back to."
Really?
She said, "We ain't going back here." He said, "We won." She said, "I don't care what you done." She said, "We're not going back there." You ain't getting that boy killed up there.
Right.
Because it was scary. But it was smoky. They do St. Louis the first year.
Yeah.
Well, you take a Cincinnati Gardens.
Right.
And that's where they was running. And it was so smoky in there with all that fuel. Yeah. It was crazy. But it was different. It was neat. It was back then. It was cool shit. I'm young. It was neat.
Let's go racing.
I didn't care where we went.
Just wanted to go racing.
I was competitive. I just wanted to do it.
That's awesome.
Just wanted to do it.
Anybody you need to thank? Any sponsors? Anything before we wrap up?
Yeah, Masterbuilt. Truly unbelievable how good they was to me. Keith and Tater. Keith, I had cars I've destroyed. Brad Irwin worked there, and he helped me a lot. And we was at Florence racing one night, and got crashed, and absolutely looked like a monster truck run over a car.
Really?
Yeah, and I didn't. And Keith called me next. Brad Irwin was with us.
Yep.
He was racing there with us and stuff. And come over, look, and he said, "Car's junk." I said, "Yeah, I know." So he said, "I'll get Keith them. I'll talk to him." So Monday, Keith called me and said, "How bad's the car?" I said, "It's pretty bad." And he said, "All right, let me call you back." So he gets off the phone. A couple hours later, he called me and says, "Can you get the motor out of that car?" I said, "Yeah, I'll get the motor out." He said, "Bring me the car." I said, "Okay." So I got the motor out that night. Next morning, I'm sitting in Masterville. They rolled a brand new frame in, started bolting everything off my car. We started putting on the new one. Whatever wasn't bent, he replaced, put on there, and didn't hardly charge me anything.
Really?
Yeah, and we put that car, when we left 2 days later, that car was race ready for the next weekend.
Wow.
I mean, they was tremendously. If it wasn't for them, I'd have never made as long as I did in the late.
Right.
They really helped me a lot. Joey and Johnny Cummins from Professional Properties.
Okay.
They helped me for a long time, sponsoring the cars, helping us get up and down the road. And they enjoyed racing with us as much as they did.
Yeah.
I drove their Legend car some.
Okay.
We done that blacktop. I'd go help them for a while. I wasn't worth a shit at it.
Right.
On the blacktop, the dirt we done okay.
Yeah.
Blacktop, that wasn't my thing.
But you still had fun with it?
Oh, we had a blast. I mean, the only thing, it's so little, you felt everything that on the racetrack. I mean, you're sitting on the ground running them things. I was a little younger then. Now, I probably couldn't even get in and out of one because it was so much. But my family, my kids, wasn't for them traveling up and down the road. And the wife, she's been in it since day one. And never complained about us doing it. Never complained.
That's awesome.
I mean, she was full 100%.
Yeah,
100%
on board. Let's
on
go.
board with whatever we done.
Like your daughter.
Yes, like my daughter and my kids. Whatever we wanted to do, that's what we done. We didn't take the money out of our house to fund the car. My bills paid first. What we had extra is that's what we raced on.
Right.
You know, so we never worried about that part of it. But yeah, it went for her. You know, you got to have a family that's willing to do it together.
Sure.
To make it work. If you don't, it ain't gonna work.
It's tough. It's not going to work.
It ain't going to work. I mean, it don't happen. You got to be on board with everybody. Mark Bush, he's been great to us since we bought this car. He's really been a lot of help. Bob Pierce, we had Pierce cars there for a while. I had Diamond cars, Ryan Thomas over there. I had the second car he ever built.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And, you know, so that deal worked out really well for both of us.
Yeah.
And now he's pretty big. He's one of the bigger, you know, modified dealers. You know, and I feel like I helped him get there. We won a lot of races in his cars and helped promote, you know, what he had. But he has took it, and he has done tremendous with what he's got.
He's doing pretty good.
He's got really good cars, and most of his cars are really fast.
He may be one of those guys I may need to go visit.
Yeah.
Hey, Ryan.
We've talked. You know, that's what he said. You ever need anything, come see me.
Yeah.
You know, he does it. But I'm getting, like I said, at that age, you know, where if I get in it, fine. If I don't, I'm fine with it too.
Yeah.
I'm kind of over it. I don't mind helping him work on it, but I don't want to be out every night. You know, I want to spend time with the grandkids.
You gotta have time to spoil the grandkids.
Yeah, I want time to do that kind of stuff and go. You know, my mom's got dementia, so we're kind of taking care of my mom.
Yeah.
You know, going through all that stuff. So timing's kind of. The older I got, I thought I'd have more time. It don't seem like I got less time than I had before.
Really?
Yeah.
That's discouraging.
It is. You think you would slow down, but it don't seem like it has. But Calvin Canada, thank him for Calvin for the time he gave me to drive. I drove for Stricker. I drove for Turners. I've drove for Skipton. I've drove for a lot of people over my time. So thank you for.
You've got some laps in.
I have. I've got a lot of laps. I've probably got more laps in Florence than most people does.
Yes, I would say there's.
I've probably got more than most people in our area.
Yeah.
Because I've been doing it. I've been out there over 40 years.
I'm just that weird history geek, I guess. There's some of the stats that I know it's not kept, but I'd like to know some of those stats. Like, who has the most laps around that place? Who's won the most features? You know, whether it's modified or late model, both or whatever. I mean, we've got some guys in our area that's won a lot of races there. Right. So some of those numbers could be like really close.
Yeah, because I've won a lot of mod features and I've won a lot of late model features.
Right.
I've won a little bit of both. And there's very few of us that's won late model and mod the same
and
night.
modified. Yeah. Same night.
So we've done that, and I think Nobby has. I think maybe Rice has.
Yeah, that would.
And I don't know if anybody else.
I'm trying to think. I can't think of anybody else that.
I think it was just the three of us. It's actually won both classes in one night.
Yeah.
That I can remember.
And there can't be that many father-sons that have won both features. Or dads won a feature and sons won a feature. Whether it's the same night or just in general.
In general.
Oh, yeah.
But you take, there's a lot of people like the Greens, McWilliamses, Lays, Landrums. That
Holtz.
That has kept Hensley's.
Yeah, Hensley's.
Shepherds.
Yeah.
Billy Bond.
Yeah.
That has.
There's a list.
There's a list of people that's been loyal to Florence.
Yes.
We have stayed there in our families, from our dads to our kids.
Still going.
To now our kids, now maybe grandkids, that has kept that place going.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see Josh do something back for the people that's done that for all these years.
Yeah.
He's done the Hall of Fame for the people for dirt track racing.
Right.
I would like to see something done.
Florence Speedway Hall of Fame.
For something just for the locals.
Yeah.
Even if he done the grandstands, the sections, named after the families.
Yeah. McWilliam family, Corbin family, Holt.
In their sections. Yeah. Just something for the people that has, the Vern Lefevers.
Yeah.
How long he's been doing it. Give the guy some recognition for what he's done.
Yeah. I don't want to push the envelope on, but there's another idea I had, and we'll talk about that off. But that would be cool.
I think it'd be neat for the local people, because the local people, that's their home, that's where they go. Yes. I know Brownstown has one.
Okay.
I think the Atomic has one.
Yeah, I think they do.
That does all that. And it's just nice to see, because Florence is probably one of the oldest racetracks
in our area.
That has stayed up top.
Yes.
Now they've got the Crown Jewel races.
Yep.
They pack the shows when they run late models.
Yes.
That is one of our biggest area racetracks in our area.
I would say it's probably borderline, probably the biggest track in the state of Kentucky.
No doubt.
I mean,
I don't know anything in Kentucky to be bigger.
No, I mean, Paducah's maybe a rival, but
not for our area.
No,
they're too far away.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of...
state of Kentucky.
State of Kentucky, Florence is probably the top-notch race.
Yeah,
I
would agree.
When Florence runs, you draw cars from Richmond, Cumberland area.
Yeah. Owensboro,
exactly.
I mean, it draws
on a regular Saturday night, not
just big shows.
A big show on a regular Saturday night. You draw these key people from those areas.
People want to win at Florence Speedway. Right. When you say you've won a race at Florence Speedway,
I ain't gonna say it's Eldora that you won at, but it's a top 5.
Sure.
It's a top 5 racetrack in the United States.
Yeah.
That you've won at, that you're acknowledged for it.
Absolutely. I would agree. 100%.
I think so. And hopefully it keeps on going.
Let's hope so.
And these younger generation,
it's up to them, huh?
Keeps it rocking.
Yep.
And the people that like us, and the old people that's done it, the kids stick to doing it. It's kind of cool that the kids have been
history of it.
They've been raised there, and they're still there.
Yeah. There's something to be said about that. That's pretty neat. It's pretty cool.
It is. It's pretty neat. You know, you don't go far from the apple. Don't fall from the tree.
That's how it goes, ain't it? Yep, that's how it goes. Cool. Rick, man, this has been awesome. I appreciate it. Like I said, I've watched you since I was a kid, and it's like, getting to sit down and hear some of these stories, whether it was the lunch stories or the selling your go-kart out from under you.
Yeah, pretty much.
That was a pretty neat story. I appreciate it.
Yes, it was. That was pretty awesome. But I appreciate you taking the time to do this.
Absolutely.
To keep us old guys, people's names out there.
Absolutely. Like I said, I started this because we've got to record these stories, because if not, they get forgot about. And next thing you know, they may not always get passed down or handed down. And hey, let's record them. They'll always be there. Once they're recorded, it'll always be there.
Yeah, because our days are numbered.
You
don't know how long it's going to last.
That's right.
So you got to do it while you can.
It's a fun ride, not a guaranteed long ride.
Well, and I'll be honest, it's something I've done all my life, and I'd never change it.
There you go.
If I had to go back and relive it, I wouldn't change anything I've done.
That's a pretty good thing right there.
The money. Yeah, I could be retired now and probably living pretty good. But I wouldn't change it.
It wouldn't have been as fun.
It wouldn't have changed it for anything I've done. I'd have done something else.
Yeah.
Spend
money on something else.
I'm not the type of person just to sit.
Yeah. Me neither. I can't do it.
I'm 60 and hell, I just went to Disney World with 3 of my grandkids and walk 9 miles a day. So I'm all right. Let's keep rocking. I ain't gonna stop.
Right. Cool. All right, we'll wrap things up. Man, this has been a good one for me. I hope you guys like it and enjoyed it as much as I did. Happy Thanksgiving this week. Hope you guys everybody's has a great, safe holiday. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and we'll see you at the track next week. Thanks.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.